You're listening to Mike Adams and Chris Savory, the record collectors from the BBC, between now and 9 tonight.
Our guest tonight on the programme is a man behind several soul that... Anybody who ever watched the documentary about Marvin Gaye will remember a gentleman called Freddy Cousaert, who came from Ostend, a Belgian businessman whose love of soul music and black music brought a lot of great blues artists to Europe. And it was a surprise when recently I was in Chester that I caught up with Freddy. Freddy, what did your interest begin in blues and soul music?
My interest in blues and soul music began in the halfway the 60s. But before that I was more interested in jazz. But then with the explosion of soul music, the Stax and Motown music in the 60s, in Europe, I mean, it was already very well established in the UK, but I think I was the first to bring it over there, to Belgium and Holland and so. And
which was the first artist that you brought over?
well, in those days I used to have a discotheque, what they call a real proper discotheque, and I still have my records, by the way. I don't come to get them, I don't let them go, but I collect them still. I see you have a great one here by Rufus Thomas.
Well, I collect doo-wop records, some very early doo-wop records, but we can perhaps swap records at some other date. Tell us about your... Going back to this documentary, which is where I know you from, the Marvin Gaye documentary. What memories have you got from that time with Marvin?
We're the same age, but I acted a bit like his... help him out, yes.
Yeah. Your relationship with Marvin Gaye appeared to be a very special one. Tell me a little bit more about it.
Well, in the first place, like I said, since the 60s I was into his music. And especially then when he brought these trend-setting albums like What's Going On, Let's Get It On and all that, I Want You and all. So for me he was a unique and preferred artist all the way already. And then when I happened to run into, I happened to meet him in London, and it was like an immediate confidential relationship, because he understood right away that I was not just a promoter or a tour manager or anything like that. He saw me more as a real good music fan, somebody who knew about black music and especially jazz and soul music.
Now, you spent a great deal of time with him during this period, and he was recovering. He seemed to be getting away from everything and finding peace with himself. What sort of things did you talk about together?
Well, on our first meetings, I didn't see and I didn't look for a man who was in having problems. I could never expect that an artist of that caliber and that status could have been in such a state like he was in London. Not that it was that terrible. He was living in a nice apartment and all that, so I didn't know what was behind the screen. I only found that out later when he was already staying with me or with us in Belgium. But I don't look for the negative side of an artist and a person. I always go for his talent that I discover in him, the good side, and see what we can do together. And with Marvin, as he was for me a unique artist, I was prepared to go far, and he understood that, and so we basically on our first meetings were talking about how to promote and have his music over there, and I mean his concerts, because he hadn't been touring Europe extensively before, and that, as far as I'm concerned, was my main target and accomplishment to do that.
Your memories about Marvin Gaye, are they tinged with any sadness?
Now, yes, at this time, after I have experienced the work since with Marvin, with many other artists, I don't really even much want to think about it much, because he was very, very unique, and I was all of a sudden in a situation that I did not foresee, with him having to take care of for everything for him, and I would have liked to be in that position now, with my experience that I have acquired since working with people like Junior Walker, Curtis Mayfield, Isaac Hayes, Bobby Womack, James Brown, and all these people I've worked with in a very close relationship, because that's more or less how I work with my artists. Like with Rufus, I work with him since 10 years, and I like every minute of it.
Now, do you have a favorite track of Marvin Gaye?
I will tell you which one I mentioned to him that I, of his early 60s period, preferred, and he looked up on that I mentioned that one, that I say I wasn't the Grapevine I liked best. It was, for me, it was Ain't That Peculiar, and that pleased him kind of, you know. And then of course the whole What's Going On album, and another track I particularly like of Marvin is the one that was composed and produced by Leon Ware, I Want You. And that was also his preferred song to perform live on stage. That's the song he was really best at, or best with on stage. He had his songs that for example, Trouble Man was for him his most or his highest artistic accomplishment. That song in which he in 3 minutes he could put all kinds of American black music, like blues and jazz and pop and soul. It was all within that time space of 3 minutes. So for him, Trouble Man was his biggest accomplishment, not What's Going On or Sexual Healing, etc. But Trouble Man is also a very special track.
If you could turn back the clock, is there anything different you would have done at that period?
Yeah, but...
Do you think the influence for money from the States was... the destiny was already written, that it was going to be taken to the USA and away from the protection of your family, your home, and Europe?
Well, if I would turn the clock back, be able to turn the clock back, what I would do is, instead of getting involved in all the projects that he had in his head, which he was really creative at the moment he was there, you know, and I would have just stayed with what I was best at, and that would have been promote him and tour him and maybe manage him, but not, I wouldn't have gone into record production and all that stuff, no, or into whatever other ventures he had in mind.
Now we'll play a Marvin Gaye track now, but when we come back, perhaps you tell us a little bit about the other artists that you enjoy too. So here, especially for Freddy Cousaert, here is the great Marvin Gaye. You're with Mike Adams tonight on The Record Collectors. I'm talking to Freddy Cousaert, who most soul experts will know exactly who. You mentioned the name James Brown, who's been a guest on our program. Who else have you been working with recently, besides Rufus Thomas?
Well, recently I'm working with Fred Wesley, and I'm producing, or I'm the executive producer more of a new project with Fred Wesley that's going to be out in the early next year. And I have had several meetings with Leon Ware, and he came also to visit me in Belgium, and he has been the producer, composer, and even performer of I Want You, the original I Want You album of Marvin Gaye. That makes me think a lot of Marvin. Leon Ware. Other artists I've worked with on the concert tour promotions, less than before, because I work now with my artists. I have relationships like we do the whole thing. We do record, we do management, and we go on tour. And therefore I haven't been much involved in touring in the last years. I have done some work a few years ago with Frankie Beverly and Mace in Belgium, and but basically the last year I was really much involved in the Blues Tang album with Rufus Thomas.
Which of course is the Blues Tang album, is on Sequel Records. Do you have a favourite track from that album?
Favorite track? I haven't really thought about that. The choices are very varied from the people I hear and speak with. My favorite track, I really like quite a number of songs on that. I think the first one I like very much, Think twice before you speak. I like that very much. Then there is even Miss Bunny. I like much. That's something I like. And I Can Do Bad by Myself. But there's really a number of good tracks on that.
Which record, if you were on a desert island, would you want to take with you? It can be an album, or yeah, which one?
What's going on?
What's going on? What's going on, Freddie, is that you've given us in Europe a lot of great blues and soul artists, and thank you very much for dropping in on the Record Collectors program.
It was a real pleasure, and it's a nice town here.